Guys, we're back with more Scarlett analysis on daily number, I believe, 612, where we're learning to be a better gamer. So yeah, we were talking a little bit about some of the effects of having done this early Baneling burst in there, and I think the most notable time to step 2 is around 6 minutes. Right when everything is starting to really calm down. Hell, let's even go 8 minutes. Right when everything has been calm for quite a while. One of the biggest things to note in all of StarCraft 2 is that if you want to mess up someone's mineral income, kill workers. And if you want to mess up their gas income, you have to kill bases. You cannot shut down someone's gas income by killing workers. It's because it only takes 6 workers to fully saturate a base. Just immediately, right? So with Scarlett, as a result of us being kind of low on the drone count in general, we can leverage this position by focusing on gas. Both of us will tend to be behind on gas. Both of us, I shouldn't even say us, both Scarlett and HerO are going to be behind on workers because Scarlett did this early aggression play, so only has 31. HerO has not set up an extra base, so only has 29. However, HerO is behind on bases, so we can definitely get a lead in gas. It's not certain that we can get a lead in minerals because we don't know how far ahead or behind he is, and he's actually quite even with us. So this is yet another reason why these gas-focused follow-ups will have a lot more success. Especially if we're going for plays that exploit someone who's going to be low on gas. The simplest answer, though, the simplest way to analyze the situation is just to say, based upon our early aggression, we are going to be overall low on workers, so let's leverage that by just getting gas-focused tech and not getting mineral-focused tech like expansions that are going to demand a lot of minerals, a lot of drones. Q. Evo chamber coming up. So, alright. How are we extending the utility of these nice little pack of Zerglings that we have? Burrow. Great way to shut down an opponent from taking an expansion. Put the Burrow on there. Why would we want to Burrow block and expand? Because our opponent is going to be low on gas, since he had a delayed base, and he can make up for that gas deficit by taking a 3rd base quite quickly. So unfortunately, Scarlett is actually unable to prevent that from occurring. This is just a normal timing. There's nothing too big to read into that, but we can see why Burrow would be very, very helpful here. And now here comes just like a really sweet play. One thing we want to note, our opponent, definitely, we don't know if they are ahead or behind us in terms of that mineral income. We don't know that for a fact. But we do know he just can't do any big gateway attacks, right? He just can't. You need a lot of workers up to be able to have any of those be effective. So though we don't know if we're ahead or behind in terms of the overall mineral income, we just know that he can't attack us for a while. So we're going to see Scarlett leverage this. She's going to go for a mega fast infestation pit. Of course, looking for opportunities to sneak up on in that main base is great. Zerglings with speed always have a lot of utility. These Banelings maintaining a lot of their flair and kick-acidness. And, oh, it doesn't connect. But still we see Scarlett getting macro hatch, already getting up this expo, getting +2 melee attack, getting this infestation pit. A lot of gas-focused play here. But in particular, there's just this huge window where we don't need to get roaches, because there's really no big threat of a whole bunch of gateway units coming in. We have plenty of time to get up these infestors. And this is just a really cool follow-up from Scarlett. If for some reason we did see a whole bunch of units start to move out, cool, we would just build banelings with our Zerglings and be in excellent shape. But what about sentries? Well, he can't have that many sentries because he doesn't have a lot of gas. Damn it, he doesn't have a lot of gas. So the good old mass expanding here. This base is a lot more of a, oh, if you're taking a third, then dude, I'm just totally going to take a fourth myself. Now these little goofy antics from Scarlett are surprisingly effective. The burrowed Zerglings in the main base, hanging out, unburrowing, going baneling. But watch these reaction times from HerO. I know we wanted to focus on Scarlett and Scarlett style here, but look at this reaction time. So sick. Infestation pit. Hive up in a bit. If for some reason we were up against a non-third basing player, we would probably not be getting this hive. We would just be going infestor ling out of 4 hatches. But because we did see this third, we're just going to go 4th base and hive. Bam. Very sort of odd position. Feels very amorphous. Feels like it would be hard to reproduce this sort of situation. But it's in fact highly reproducible. Holy crap. I was like, this might seem like a hard to wind up in situation, and all of a sudden, I started to think about how beautiful the creep shader was. Seriously. Look at the glisten on the creep. I was just looking at it, and it like wiggles. God, that's just amazing. And then all of a sudden I realized that I was in the middle of a show, and I had just stopped talking and lost track about what I was talking about. But we fixed it, and we're back, and we're in good shape. So, this is still a pretty highly predictable situation. Killing off of the rock towers. We'll do the review in a little bit. Ultra fast Ultralisk cavern. And we can see now why Scarlett is going for this particular, specific looking force. These infestors, plus these upgraded Zerglings, plus some of the queens that have been getting stockpiled throughout here, are going to provide us a really kick-ass Ultralisk force that we may crush our opponent with. And one thing that's wonderful is that Zealot Archon, with a couple of Immortals, destroys Ling Ultra. Like, ruins Ling Ultralisk in a just a sad for the Ling Ultra sort of way. Like, Zealot Archon Immortal destroys the crap out of Ling Ultra. But if we make Banelings, Banelings. See this Baneling nest having utility all game long? Nice. With Banelings, everything gets decimated. Gelateur shows up. No big deal. Taking that out pretty easily. Transfuse it all the way back up to full health. And now Scarlett has wound up with this really nice endgame composition. Yes. Yes. Now, this is just a cute move that HerO does a lot that's like really cool. That Oracle's a total douchebag. But yeah, so how does Scarlett do a nice finisher? Here is just a solid composition. Can win a lot, but Scarlett one-ups it by just tossing out a Greater Spire, getting a whole bunch of Broodlords, and thanks to the fact that we were upgrading our +1 so early, we now have +3 done for the Broodlords. So I'm just going to speed this up because there's not a lot more to say at this point in time. We're going to go back and note some key things that were going on throughout there. Notice how unfortunately ill-equipped HerO's composition is to deal with this. And Scarlett comes moving on in. Now, this Zealot Archon Immortal Force actually does pretty damn well against this. All things considered, this went very barely in Scarlett's favor. Like, everything basically dies. These two stupid frickin' Archons don't even participate in the battle ever. So it's not just like a win button for Scarlett. But it is pretty cool. HerO hangs on, has that fantasy GG timing, and inevitably, Scarlett wins. So, to come back, I want to state multiple ways that we could have arrived at this style from Scarlett. Let's describe it without any bias at first. So, Scarlett opens up with this really fast Ling-Baneling aggression, transitions into this defensive infestor Ling Queen style, and eventually gets Ultra with Hive, and finishes with Broodlords. No Hydras, no Roaches, no Mutas, very unusual for Zergs nowadays. So how the hell do you come up with a style like that? It was a weird opening. It was a weird mid-game. I mean, Wings of Liberty, maybe it's reasonable, but not Heart of the Swarm. And then with slightly more common Ling Ultra Queen mixture, how the hell do you even get there? Well, two fundamental ways of doing this. One would be to say, man, Ling Ultra Queen with a couple of infestors is so good. What's a way to get to that style? Or you could begin with the opening and say, man, fast Zergling speed seems like a really useful opening. How do we get a lot of utility out of it? And once I've done it, how the hell should I transition out of it? And thus we have two ways of arriving at the same style, as we'll see by linking it all together in this final wrap-up. We're going to go to this 4-minute mark. As we can see with this Zergling speed play, actually we're going to have to look at the 3-minute mark, so we will have to rewind. With our Overlord Scout timing, hell, even before that, with the metagame of what Protosses are doing, we are seeing that this Zergling speed play has the potential to outright kill a player who's going for a gateway first play. And even if he's going for a forge first at his expand, we can dovetail the use of this early gas to still force our way in. Where a normal Cybernetics core would be finishing up at 5:30, we are actually Baneling busting at 5:30. So there's no way for an early expander to even prevent this from going on. So with that position that we wind up in, we don't have a lot of drones as Scarlett, so how can we possibly follow this up? Well, as we step to the 10-minute mark, we see Scarlett has delayed an expansion in favor of getting a layer, in favor of getting these Zergling upgrades, and even getting up Burrow to be able to block this off. All the damage we did early on makes us safe, so we can skip past roaches, we can skip past hydras, and we can go straight for the infestor. We are super ultra mega safe. Also, we're not really going to be delaying these gases that much because we were on 2 base for so long. So we're not even really going to be that low on gas to be able to pull this style off. Hell, just this first extractor has already mined a pretty surprising 800 gas at this point in time. So we have all the ingredients we need. The issue that we would run into happens around 12 to 14 minutes. What if our opponent decided to attack us? Well, we have this infestation pit coming. We're continuing to get these upgrades just to be smart. But man, it would really stink to lose this. So of course we're getting our pathogen glands up. We're trying to continue to be adamant with our scouting. And upon seeing, wow, this burrowed Zergling sees exactly whether this Nexus will go down or not. If we didn't have a burrowed Zergling, we wouldn't know exactly if that was going down. He could fake and expand and go all in, but now we know. Because we know by 12 minutes, we can determine, should I go Hive and expand, or should I mass Zerglings and spines and just spend all that gas on infestors. So, given the fact that we saw HerO expanding, we can easily just go straight for Hive. Begin massing up our infestors, because only at the 14-minute mark do we really need to start worrying about some of these big pushes coming forward. Whoa, what happened to my mouse? Oh god, I have one of those mice where if you hit the sensitivity button, it like jumps to really high sensitivity. So all of a sudden, you know, I was like doing little movements and I was just like, oh! Okay, now we're back to more calm. Whew. So our ultras won't quite be out in time, but that's fine. We can just spine up as needed. We can infestor gack up as needed. And we can even baneling up as needed, thanks to that early play. And now we have the awesomeness that is our army. The last thing that I wanted to note that is one of the weirdest timings, because it doesn't have a really clear beginning. Like when you start the hive, that's a really clear start time to the hive. But, you know, with mass queening, when did the mass queening begin? Well, quite simply, once we decided that we were going to be going hive, that's when we began to mass them up. Very, very simply. There we see the queens in production, 3 at a time. 3 at a time, the queens and the Ultralisk cavern. Killing towers. And later on we'll totally F him up with brood lords. When does that happen? Whenever, really. Yeah, just kind of a normal, get brood lords and you can afford it. Why not? So, I'm going to close out of that replay, because we're going to be opening up a different one coming up. But we got ourselves a nice little summary of what went on there. And in fact, you know what? This is perfect. We're just going to end part 2 of the daily and head into part 3 after a short 3-minute break. But we've seen how this analysis of just asking a simple question and getting some timings can give us a really good starting place for an opening. And then doing some simple follow-throughs, well, what now? Leads us to this really cool style, based upon kind of a simple statement. He can't attack us. So we can get away with a lot. Even though we don't have a lot of drones, we can get away with a lot. And what we're going to see in part 3 is another game of Scarlett doing this exact same opening, but HerO this time is going to be going for a gateway first. We're going to see how things are a little different. Where Scarlett is going to lose that game, and we're going to see what went wrong and why, and that's what we're going to do. God, he's so good at outros. How does he do it?
Well, he's done this 611 times, so of course he's excellent at the outros. Ha ha ha.